Royal Caribbean's Coco Cay is probably the most well-known and most visited private island destination in the world. It features a gigantic water park, huge swimming pools, a hot air balloon, splash areas, beach clubs, and more than a handful of restaurants and bars. A day on the island is very similar to spending a day at a theme park water park on land, but did you know it used to look like this? It is Sunday, October 13th, 2024, and on this week's special edition of Sunday Sofa Time, we're talking about what happened to Coco Cay. My first visit to the island was back in 2011, which is when I made this video that has now been seen by almost 500,000 people. Back then, visiting Coco Cay, or Coco Cay to pronounce it properly, was a relaxing tropical getaway that really felt like being on a deserted island in the middle of the ocean. Now, it's paved with concrete, there's tons of extra charge activities, and if you're there on a day like we were with 2 Oasis-class ships in port, honestly, it felt super crowded, and that exclusive Gilligan's Island feeling is totally gone. So I wanted to show you the old video and walk around the island to see exactly what it used to look like and what's there now. Let's get to it. One of the first major differences is just how you get to the island altogether. Back then, there was no dock, so the ships anchored out in the bay and we took tender boats over to the island, and you can see just behind me in there is where the tender boats used to dock on the island. So all this area was just trees, and that bridge didn't exist. It was the way that the boats got into the bay to dock on the island. All right, so I think actually right here is kind of where the tender boat dock used to be. If we look at the old video, I showed people getting off of the tender, and I turned the camera around to see this Coco Cay sign and the buildings behind it. And if I turn around here and go just a little bit down here, you can see that building back there, I think, is this building from the old video. Does that look right to you? If I go a little bit closer, you can see the archway and then that one window at the top. And I think, like I said, that must be this building. So I'm pretty sure that this is kind of the old entrance. The sign with all these different possibilities of where to go on the island would have been somewhere around here. And then this was the original path that went down here to the first beach. So whatever this building was back then, I think it was somewhere over here, and it's either become this building or it's gone, because there's nothing else on this side that looks similar to that building. Let's go on to the beach up here. That's what's next in the video. This is why it pays to get up early. Look, there's nobody here yet. We can get any sun chair we want. In the next scene in the video, you can see me standing in a small bay on the beach. It's still very early in the morning. There aren't any people on the beach besides me. And of course, right now, this looks much different. Take a look back here. There are these sort of cabana day beds. Those did not exist back then. You can see the ships in the background. Those were not there last time. But otherwise, this kind of looks exactly like it did 13 years ago. Now we're just chilling. We saw some wildlife, saw a little hermit crab, and I rented out my snorkel equipment, $29 for adult for a full equipment, including life vest, snorkel, mask, and flippers. Here we are at the Snorkel Shack. This building has still the same function as it did 13 years ago. There used to be a sign with all the different options here and the prices, and you can see that's the same door as 13 years ago. In this screenshot, I had the door here, and in the background, one of these signs that showed what was in this direction and in that direction on the island. And when I stand in the same place, you still see the palm trees, you still see the door and the beach, but that sign is no longer here. It used to be somewhere right over there, I think. I've walked all the way around Chill Beach now to this point, and if you look at this screenshot from where Marcus and I sat down last time I was here, if you look in the background, you can see it was just sort of totally random setup. There are beach chairs in the water. There's some sort of stacked up in the background. And if we look at it now, you can see this is the little curve in the bay that was there back then. And here are the trees that were in the background. And none of this was there back then. This is all definitely new. We had a totally different view back then than now. And also, can't find any hermit crabs this time. I was just sitting down there looking towards the horizon and looking over there. That was the background from before. And 13 years ago, just on the other side of these trees was the adventure park. This had a blow-up water slide just sitting on the sand, and out in the ocean was one of these blow-up obstacle courses. You can see it here in this shot. And nowadays, this is a private area for cabana guests, and I can't even get over there to show you what it's like, but maybe if I walk towards the edge, maybe I can sort of peek around the corner. Yeah, so here I'm at the edge, and back then, this area out here was where that blow-up obstacle course was, and back here on the beach was where the blow-up water slide was. And now, you have to pay a lot of money to get over there at all. I've been walking around filming for probably about an hour now, sometimes in the sun, sometimes in the shade, but I am hot, I am sweaty. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just drenched with sweat just from walking around. This is the Coco Beach Club. This is what is on the land that, like I said, I think used to be the blow-up adventure park. It is also an additional charge, and this is as far as I'm gonna get without paying that price. This is the Shore Excursions building, and I know this was here when I was here last time. It says this is where you can check in for your wave jet or your wave runner excursion or swimming with the pigs. I don't think swimming with the pigs was offered back then. You can see from this screenshot, this is what the dock used to look like back then. And this is what it looks like now. Not really that different. The two trees that used to be over here seem to be gone now. Or maybe it's these trees. I don't know. But this is all still here. Oh my gosh, check this out. I've never seen anything like this before in real life. There is a water spout out there on the horizon. Do you see it? Holy crap. We're not in danger, are we? The dining situation on the island has also changed greatly since when I was here 13 years ago. Back then, there were 1 or 2, maybe 3 sort of central barbecue locations, and they all served the same food. It's very similar to the food that was offered on Labadee. We were just there a couple, well, like in November of last year. So it's like grilled hamburgers, hot dogs, salads, cookies, just sort of traditional barbecue things like that. And nowadays here on Coco Cay, there are several different food options, not just barbecue, but other food stations with different kinds of culinary treats. So in the old video, this was Blackbeard's Grill back here. Now it has been greatly expanded. And I turned around in the old video and you can see the NCL ship in the background. They had some picnic tables here on the beach. I remember this woman here thought I was taking a picture of her and came up and complained to me as I was walking away. I was like, girl, there are hundreds of people here on the beach. What makes you think I'm taking a picture of you? Anyways, this is what it looks like now. There are no more picnic tables here. If you want to have some lunch in the sun, you have to go back this way, and that is where all the dining location is contained. So I'm now at some place that I was fascinated by the last time I was here. Back then it had a different name. It was called Barefoot Beach. We found it at the end of our time on the island, which was unfortunate. It was a walk all the way around the island. I mean, it still is a walk all the way around the island, but now it's called something different and it looks much different. If you can see, this is me 13 years ago walking down this same beach, and if you look at it now, it's kind of hard to recognize. This is one of the big disappointments for me compared to my first visit. Back then, there were maybe 50 sun loungers on this entire beach, with tons of sand and open space between you and the next people, making it feel really exclusive and special. Look at it now. Does that look like fun to you? And in the end of the old video, I pan away from a sign which was somewhere back here that said "Back to the Ship." Show again this inlet which is next to me and move the camera pointing back out towards where the ship was in the bay. In the old video, you can see a bunch of hammocks, and take a look at this sort of rocky structure here. Here are the hammocks, and I think there used to be a couple more over here back then. This is where that blue fence was back then. That's what's there now. And if I move up just a little bit closer here, you can see this is what's left of that stone structure from the old video. And they've put up some more like little bushes here to block the wind, I think. Of course, back then, there were not two gigantic Oasis-class ships at the end of the dock. There was just the tiny little monarch of the seas bobbing around on the horizon. In just a minute, I want to take you around the island now and show you all the stuff that is in a place where back then there was literally nothing. But before I do that, let me just kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed watching this so far. I've really enjoyed walking around and making this video for you, reliving these memories. And you can do me a huge favor just by pressing subscribe, hitting that thumbs up, and leaving me a comment. Also, if you like to read when you're on vacation or traveling, check out my book. It's called Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship. It's available on Amazon now, and picking up a copy is another great way you can support what I do here on YouTube. Now let's go look at some water slides. Let's take a look at this shot from Lardy 2000 again that shows just how flat and green the island used to be. Yeah, looks pretty different now, doesn't it? Not only are there so many more options for cruisers, but there's also a small village with housing for employees that actually live on the island now. Hi, I'm back on the bridge again. This is where the tender dock used to be, and I want to turn the camera over this way and once again say that back then, this was all just rocks. And there was no beach there, no zip line, no skipper's grill. And probably one of the biggest differences is over here. This entire area of the island back then, including the Thrill Water Park, including Captain Jack's, including the beach club, including the zip lines, this was all just sand, bushes, and trees. You can see, here's the dock now. This is the little bay where the tenders used to dock, and now there's a bridge there. I got on the tram here and rode it all the way around here to Hideaway Beach. This was all just rocks and trees back then, and now it's an entire beach club that costs extra. One big advantage is no kids allowed, so if you want an adults-only afternoon, you can pay the price to go to Hideaway Beach. I did not, and I'm not going to be able to look inside either, so this is what I could see from the outside. And now I'm getting rained on. But honestly, it feels good. Another thing that was not there in this form back then is this tram station. There are trams running all the way around the island to Hideaway Beach, to Chill Beach, to the shore excursions, to the Coco Beach Club, and this is the main hub right after you get onto the island. I understand that there are advantages to adding all these activities, and most of them are for Royal Caribbean because it gives them the chance to charge extra and make more money. And hey, who doesn't want to make more money? By adding the pier, it also makes it possible for more than one ship at a time to visit the island, and it also makes the visits more consistent, I think, because weather prohibited a lot of cruises from anchoring in the bay and then tendering the visitors over to the island. Did you ever have a visit to Coco Cay canceled due to weather? One thing I really don't understand is all the pools. You're on a tiny island in the Bahamas with beautiful sand on 3 sides of it. Go swimming in the ocean. You can't do that at home. That's what makes being on an island special. I just personally can't imagine flying to Florida, getting on a cruise, having one day on an island, and then using it to swim in a pool. If you are that person, let me know in the comments what it is about that appeals to you. Maybe there's something I'm missing. One very welcome change, if you ask me, is the addition of several dining areas with a wide variety of meals and snacks, and no longer just the basic barbecue options from the past, and like they still do on Labadee. The overwater terrace seating at the Skipper Grill and Captain Jack's was actually very appealing, and it did give me that special vacation islandy vibe that's unlike anything I can get back at home. Look at those empty chairs and that umbrella. Don't you want to be sitting there right now? I know I do. Of course, with the variety of food options, some of the locations that are the only place to get certain things on the island become more popular and get crowded, like this huge line for the Snack Shack on South Beach. I really wanted some mozzarella sticks, but not that bad. And that's the problem with having 2 Oasis-class ships here on the same day. That means there's the potential for like 12,000 people to overrun this tiny island.
Not cute if you ask me. I do have one tip for people still looking for a little peace and quiet, and that is to walk all the way down South Beach to the Cove.
Way down here at the end is the Cove, and this is really just a tiny little beach past these trees. That's it over there, has your own personal lifeguard, and really just a handful of chairs. But I think this is probably one of the most secluded of the beaches because it's really the furthest away from the ship that you can get.
Coming up on the Very Unofficial Travel Guides, I'll also be walking around the island and showing you the additional costs of all these beach clubs, sunbeds, and cabanas. You're definitely going to want to watch that video if you're interested in having something like this for your day on the island, and just so you know, you better have a big budget. Make sure you check back soon for that video, and I really look forward to reading your comments about this video too. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides. See you next week.